Damn! Be this transmigration! Double damned. Be the boob Pythagoras. The geek that went and invented it. I hope that his soul for 1,000 terms of the wheel of existence bides in the shell of a louse, dodging a fine-tooth comb. I once was a free voice poet. Some free verse poets are beautiful, but I was not. I had a little blonde mustache hung over a mouth that I found it difficult to keep closed because of adenoidal trouble. But it would have been better if I could have kept it closed because the teeth within were out of alignment and were of odd sizes. This destroyed my acoustics, as you might say. My chin, but nothing much. I knew it! It timidly shrank into itself, receding from the battle of life. My eyes were all right, but my eyebrows were scarcely noticeable. I suppose if I'd had noticeable eyebrows, they would have been wrong somehow. Well, not to pursue this painful subject to the uttermost and ultimate wart and freckle. I was not handsome, and it hampered me. Other creatures more beautiful than I could write voice worse than mine and get up and recite it with a triumphant air. Whereas my most sublime ideas were thought to be a total loss when people saw where they came from. I think it would have been only justice if I had been sent to inhabit a butterfly. But there is very little justice in the universe! I died, and my spirit migrated into a cockroach! A 6-footed scurrying cockroach given to bastard hexameters, Longfellowish, sprawling hexameters. Oh, to have been a starfish and shoot a heroic pentameter. I, the soul of a Dante, a mate and companion with fleas. I, with a gift of a Homer. A smile when a mouse calls me pal. This is the punishment meted because I have written free verse. Here I abide, in the twilight, ghosts of the damned, who await a word from the core of the cosmos to pop into bodies grotesque, are all the companions I have with intellect more than a bug's. Ghosts of the damned, and the sentenced to crawl into maggots and live there, or work out a spell as a rat. Cheerful companions to pal with. I, with the brain of a Milton, fell into the mincemeat at Christmas, was damn near baked in a pie. I, with the touch of a Chaucer, to be chivied out of a sink, float through a greasy drain pipe into the hell of a sewer. Curses upon that Pythagoras. I hope he dwells for 1,000,000 turns of the wheel of life, deep in an oyster crab's belly, stewed in the soup of Gehenna. I, with the soul of a Hamlet, doomed always to wallow in farce. Yesterday, maddened with sorrow, I threw myself from the Woolworth Tower in an effort to dash out my brains. You gods, what a wretched, pathetic, and anticlimactic event! I fluttered, I floated, I drifted as light as a feather, and landed on top of a bald man's head whose hat had blown off at the corner. And all of the hooting hundreds laughed at the comic cockroach. If I was to plan out a drama, that's great. That's great Shakespeare's Othello. That would be touched with the cockroach and people would say it was comic. Damned be that Pythagoras, who first filled the fates with this notion of transmigration of the spirits. I hope he turns into a flea on the back of a hound of hell and is chased for 1,000,000 years with a set of red-hot teeth. Exclamation point. I was talking to a moth the other evening. He was trying to break into an electric light bulb and fry himself on the wire. Why do you fellas pull this stunt? I asked him. Because it is a conventional thing for moths, or what? If that had been an uncovered candle instead of an electric light bulb, you would now be a small, unsightly cinder. Have you no sense? Plenty of it, he replied. But we get tired of using it. We get bored with the old routine and crave beauty and excitement. Fire is beautiful, and we know that if we get too close to it, it will kill us. But what does that matter? It is better to be happy for a moment and to be burned up with beauty than to live for a long time and to be bored all the while. And so we wad up all our life into one little roll, and then we shoot the roll. Our attitude to life is come easy, go easy. We are like humans used to be before they became too civilized to enjoy themselves. And before I could argue him out of his philosophy, he went and immolated himself on a patent cigar lighter. I do not agree with him. I'd rather have half the happiness and twice the longevity. But at the same time, I wish there was something I wanted as badly as he wanted to fry himself. There is an old cockroach here who thinks he has been to hell. And all the young cockroaches admire him and make a hero of him. He runs his front legs through his long white beard and tells his story. I crawled into a yawning cavern and came upon a vast abyss full of whirling smoke. There was a light at the bottom. Billows and billows of yellow smoke swirled up at me, and through the horrid gloom I saw things with wings, flying and dropping and dying, They veered and fluttered like spirits of the damned through the sulphurous mist. "Oh, man," I says to him, "you ain't never been to hell." "There is no hell. Transmigration is the game. Look, I was a free verse poet. I died and went into a cockroach. If there was a hell, I'd know it, wouldn't I?" "You're irreligious," he said. "Ancient one," I said to him. And all the other young cockroaches gathered in a circle around us. "What you beheld was not hell. All that was natural. Someone was fumigating a room and you blundered into it through a crack in the wall." "Atheist!" he cried. And all the other young cockroaches cried, "Atheist! Atheist! Atheist!" and made for me. If it had not been for Freddy the Rat, I would now be on my way again. I mean, dead as a cockroach and transmigrating into something else. Well, don't ever tell me insects are any more liberal than humans. So, I went and interviewed the mummy of the Egyptian pharaoh in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. "What ho! My regal Leatherface," says I. "Greetings, little scatter-footed scarab." "Kingly has-been," says I. What was your ambition when you had any?" "Insignificant and journalistic insect. In my tender prime, I was much too dignified to have anything as vulgar as ambition. The rara boys of the Seti Sit were too haughty to be ambitious. We used to spend our days feeding the ibises and ordering pyramids sent home to try on. But if I could live my life over again, I would give dignity the regal raz and hire myself out to work in a brewery." "Oh, Tanatari," says I detect in your voice the overtones of melancholy." "I am sad." "It is true," said the majestic mackerel. "I am as sad as the song of the Sudanese jackal who is wailing at the blood-red moon he cannot reach and rip." "And what are you brooding with such a wistful wishfulness? Confide in me, my imperial pretzel." "My little pest, you must be more respectful in the face of a mighty desolation. I brood on beer. 40 centuries of thirst look down upon you. Oh, by Isis and Osiris, by Perfish and Perthouche and Perthar, by the sacred book Perembru, and by all the gods that rule from the upper cataracts of the Nile to the delta of the duodenum. I am dry. I am as dry as the next morning mouth of a dissipated desert, as dry as the hooves of the camels of Timbuktu, little fussy face. I am as dry as the heart of a sandstorm at high noon in hell. For 4,000 years I have been lying here, with silicon in my esophagus and gravel in my gizzard, thinking of beer. Divine drought, says I. Continue to think. Imperial pretzel. There is no law against that in this country. Old salt codfish. If you keep it to yourself. Well, not yet. What country is this? Asked the poor prune. Your reverend uselessness, this is a beerless country. Well, said the poor prune. My enemies back home always maintained that I would wind up in hell, and it seems like they had the right dope. And with those unfortunate, hopeless words, the dried up, desiccated residuum gave a great cough of despair and turned to dust and debris right in my face. It being the only time I ever actually saw anybody put the cough back into sarcophagus. There is a cat here called Mehitabel. She nearly ate me the other evening. Why don't she catch rats? That is what she is supposed to be for. I have since discovered Mehitabel's soul formerly inhabited a human also. At least that's what she is claiming these days. It may be that she grew jealous of my prestige. Anyhow, she and I have been talking it over in a friendly manner. So, who were you, Mehitabel? I was Cleopatra once. Oh, I suppose you lived in a big palace. You bet. And what lovely fish dinners we used to have. It may be true, boss. I asked her about Antony. Antony who? Well, Mark Antony, the great Roman, the friend of Julius Caesar. I mean, Cleopatra, you do remember J. Caesar? Listen, Archy, I've been to so many people in my time and met so many prominent gentlemen, I won't lie to you, I do get my dates mixed. I am a free spirit, Archy. I think of myself as quite a romantic character. Oh, the queens I have been, and the swell feeds I have ate. A cockroach, which you are, and a poet, which you used to be, couldn't possibly begin to understand my feelings, having come down to this. I've had bids to elegant feeds, where neither poets nor cockroaches would be mentioned without a laugh. I've had adventures, but I have never been an adventuress. One life up, next life down, but always a lady through it all, and a good mixer too. Always the life of the party, never anything vulgar. Always free-footed, never tied down to a job or housework. I have seen better days, it is true, Archie, but what's the use of kicking, kid? It's all in the game, as a gentleman friend of mine always used to say. Toujours gay, kid, toujours gay. He wrote some elegant poetry about me and him. Par jeune pussy, from over the sea, demure and smug and lazy and fat, none of your bells and ribbons for me. Ours is the zest of the alley cat. We would rather be rowdy and gaunt and free, and dine on a diet of roach and rat. Whoa. What do you mean, roach? I said, interrupting Mehitabel. Yes, roach. That's the way my boyfriend made it up. I climbed in among the typewriter keys, but she had an excited look in her eye. Go on, Mehitabel. Dine on a diet of roach and rat, fish heads, freedom, a frozen sprat, dug from the gutter with digits frantic, is better than boars and the fireside mat. Mehitabel, us for the life romantic.
Ain't that highbrow stuff, Archie? I always remembered it. He was a regular bohemian. Him and me went aboard a canal boat one day, and he got his head stuck in a pitcher of cream, couldn't get it out again, and fell overboard. He came up once before he drowned.
Toujours gay, kid.
He gurgled and then sank forever. Well, that was always his words.
Toujours gay, kid. Toujours gay. I bumped into Mehitabel the other day, and she was looking a trifle thin and haggard, with a limp in the hind leg on the starboard side. Oh, feline animal, I says. How's tricks? Still in the game, Archie, and still a lady in spite of H-double-L. How'd you get the game leg? Alas, it is due to the treachery of one of those social swells who is sure one bad actor. He was a fussed-up kind of cat, with a bell on a ribbon round his neck, and the look of a person who was curry-combed and manicured from teeth to tail every day. I met him down by the East River docks, where I was scouting about for a little piece of fish, because the high cost of living has become so self-conscious, Archie. Kid, says this gilded feline, you look hungry. I am all of that, I said. Why, I have a vacuum in my midst that is bigger than I am. I could eat the fish that ate Jonah. Kid, he says, you seem better days. I can tell that from looking at you. What you say is at least half true. I've certainly never seen any worse ones. And so, Archie, one word led to another, until I went back with him aboard a houseboat of which he was the pampered mascot. Such evidences of wealth and pomp. The place was furnished swell. Percy, I said, the furniture is fine, and I could eat some of it if I was a sawmill. But the eats, Percy, where is the honest to G-D food? I crave some cuisine for my stomach. Let us go trifle with an open icebox. Follow me, said this Percy thing, and led me to a cabin in which stood a table, on which stood viands. I have heard of tables groaning, Archie, but this one did not. It was too satisfied. It purred with satisfaction. In a moment, I'd eaten a cold ham and a whole scuttle full of chef d'oeuvres. You mean hors d'oeuvre, Mehitabel? I mean grub! When in walked a person whom I should take to be the butler or the admiral of the fleet, or maybe both. This Percy creature who had led me to it was on the table eating with me. What do you think he did, Archie? What would any gentleman do but stand by a lady? This Percy does nothing of the sort. He immediately attacks me. Do you get it, Archie? He behaves as if I was some stray cat he did not know, and he was protecting his loving master's food from my onslaughts. I do not doubt he got praise for his heroism and another blue ribbon. As for me, I got the boot. And as they kicked me overboard, they hit me in the hind leg with a bottle or an anchor or something hard and nautical, and that, Archy, is why I limp. But an aristocrat must be revenged. I owe it to my family to protect our good name, for I am a reincarnation of Cleopatra. So I laid up for that slob for 2 days and nights, until I caught the boob in the shrubbery. Pretty thing, I said. It hurts me more than it hurts you to remove that left eye of yours, but I did it with one sweep of my claw. Call yourself a gentleman, do you? I said as I took a strip from his nose. You will think twice after this before you offer an insult to an unprotected young tabby. Where is the little love nest you promised? Go and lie down there, and maybe you can incubate another ear, because I am going to take one of yours right now. And with those words I ripped it to shreds. You are the guy, I said, who was going to show me a safe life protected from all the rough ways of the world. Honey, you don't know what the rough ways of the world are. This is just a mild lesson I am giving you tonight, I said as I took the fur from his back. And you ought to be glad. You didn't make me really angry. And when you get well, make it a rule of your life never to trifle with another girlish confidence. I have been abducted again and again with a damn sight better cats than you ever was. Well, Archie, the world is full of ups and downs, but toujours gay, that's my motto. Boss, sometimes I think Mehitabel is a trifle too gay. A lightning bug got in here the other evening. A regular hick he was, from the real country. Awful proud of himself. You city insects thinks you is some punkins, but I don't see any of you flashing in the dark like we do in the country. All right, I says, and Mehitabel and that green spider that lives in your locker, and 2 or 3 cockroach friends of mine and a friendly rat gathered in a circle round him and urged him on, and he lightened. You don't see this kind of thing in town too often. Go to it, we said. It's a real treat for us. And we nicknamed it Broadway, which pleased them. All I need's a harbor under me to be a regular Statue of Liberty. And he got so full of himself, I had to take him down a peg. You've been making lightning for 2 hours, little bug. But I don't hear any claps of thunder. Yeah, there are some humans like that too. When he wore himself out, Mehitabel the cat ate him. At 11 o'clock p.m. on Saturday evening, I received the following message on my own private radio set. Good evening, little Archibald, and how are you? This is Mars speaking. I replied at once. Whom, or who, as the case may be, do I know on Mars? Everyone here is familiar with your work, was the answer. And we feel well repaid for the efforts we have had in getting in touch with your planet. Thank you, I said. I would rather hear Mars say that than any other planet. Mars has always been one of my favorite planets. It is sweet of you to think that way about us. And so we continued to share interstellar compliments. What is around 35 million miles between kindred souls? Won't you tell us all about your planet, Archie? Well, I said, it is round, well, like an orange or a ball, and it is all cluttered up with automobiles and politicians. It does not know where it is going or why, but it is in a hurry to get there. And it is in charge of a two-legged animal called man, who is genuinely puzzled about whether his grandfather was a god or a monkey. I should think, said Mars, that what he is himself would make more difference than what his grandfather was. Not to this animal, I said. He is the original alibi Ike of the cosmos. When he raises hell, just because he wants to raise hell, he wants someone to blame it on. Can't something be done about him? Well, I'm doing the best I can, but after all, I'm only one, and my influence is limited. You are too modest, Archie. We all but worship you here on this planet. A prophet, says I, is not without honor, save on his own planet. Wait, said Mars. I want to write that down. And now, won't you tell us something, said Mars, about yourself? What you look like, what you think are the best things you have written, and your favorite sports and that sort of thing. Well, I'm brunette, and I stand over 6 feet without any shoes on. My best skits are some little plays I wrote under the general title of Shakespeare's plays, and my favorite sport is theology. You must meet a great many interesting people, said Mars. Well, I said, one grows accustomed to that after a while. What is your favorite dish, and do you believe in the immortality of the soul? Stew, I said, and yes, my soul is immortal, at least me, but I have some doubts about the others that I could name. Is there anything else of interest in your planet that you wish to share with your many admirers here on Mars? There is very little else of any interest on this planet. And now, will you please tune out and let me get on with some work? You people who say you love my work are always taking up my time. How the hell can I get any serious literary work done if you keep bothering me? Now, get off the ether and let me do some deep thinking. Oh, you might add that I am shy and loathe publicity. Well, boss.
It seems as though Mehitabel might be on the way to a reform. Or, well, if not a reform, domestication of some kind. Some young artists who live in a studio in the Greenwich Village section of New York City have taken pity on her destitution and have adopted her. This is the life, Archie. I am living on condensed milk and synthetic gin. 3 cheers for la vie de bohème. There's nothing bourgeois about those people who have taken me in. I have been there over a week and not yet seen them go to bed, well, except in the daytime. A party every night, and neither the piano lid nor the icebox lid ever closed. Kitty, says my new mistress, you are very welcome here, so long as you don't raise a family. The first kitten I hear mewing on the premises, it's back to the alley for you. It is such a comfort to know that there are some live ones left in these melancholy days. And while the humans dance in the studio below, I get some of my feline friends and we sing and dance on the skyline. To hell with the bourgeois bunch who keep their iceboxes locked. When I lead my gang into the apartment at 4 a.m. There are no boats or bars anywhere and not an inhibition on the place. I believe, little Archie, that I have finally come home to my own kith and kin after years of fruitless wandering. Well, boss, Mehitabel has returned to her old haunts with a family of kittens. 3 of them this time. Archie, the life of a female artiste is continually hampered. What have I done to deserve these kittens? I am a dancer, Archie. My only prayer is to be allowed to give my best to my art. But just as soon as I feel I am succeeding in my life's work, along comes another bunch of these damn kittens. It's not that I am shy of mother love. God knows I love the sweet, innocent little things, curse them. I have purposely avoided matrimony in the interests of the higher life. But I might just as well be a domestic slave for all the freedom I have gained. I hope none of them get run over by an automobile. Break my heart if something happened to them and I found it out. But it isn't fair, Archie. It just isn't fair. These damn tomcats have all the fun and freedom. If I was like some of these green-eyed feline vamps I know, I would walk out of them and let them fend for themselves. But I am not that kind, Archie. I am full of mother love. My kindness has always been my curse. Self-sacrifice is the cross I bear. Well, I will make a home for the sweet, innocent little things. Just now they are living in an abandoned garbage can, and I am anxious that if it rained before I could get back to rescue them, the poor little dears might drown. Makes me shudder just to think of it. Of course, if I was a domestic cat, they would probably be drowned anyhow. Sometimes I think the best thing would be for me to take the sweet, innocent little things down to the river myself and drop them in. But a mother's love is so unreasonable, Archie. Something always prevents me. Well, boys, it will be interesting to watch how Mehitabel works out her present problem. A dark mystery still broods over the manner in which the former family of 3 kittens disappeared. One day, Mehitabel was talking to me about the kittens. The next day, when I asked her about them, she replied innocently, "What kittens?" Interrogation. You remember Freddy the Rat? Well, Freddy is no more. But he died game. The other day, a stranger came into our midst. Tough-looking kid with a bad eye. Keep away from me. Where I step, a weed dies. If I were to step on your forehead, it would raise measles. And if you give me any lip, I do it. Who are you? Said Thousand Legs, the caterpillar, who was passing at just that moment. If I bite you once, you won't ask again, said the stranger. Oh, little poison tongue, who gave you hydrophobia? I got it by biting myself, said the stranger. Well then, they went to it, and the 1,000 Legs succumbed. Well, we found out this fella was a tarantula. He come up from South America in a bunch of bananas. For days, he bullied us. Life was not worth living. He would stand in the middle of the floor and taunt us. Where I step, a weed dies. You want some of my game? I was raised on red peppers and blood. If you scratch me, I will light like a match. I was nursed on a Tabasco bottle. Better keep away from me when I'm feeling mean, and I don't feel any other way. I was nursed on a Tabasco bottle. If I were to slap your wrist in kindness, you would boil over. Better beware if I get angry. Give me room! I feel a wicked spell coming on. Well, last night, he made for Freddy the Rat. I'm not feeling too good myself.
Somebody poisoned some cheese for me. I'm full of death as a drugstore. I feel I'm gonna die anyhow. So come on, little torpedo. Come on, don't stop. Well then, they went at it. Both are no more. We dropped Freddy from the fire escape into the alley. With military honors. I ran into Mehitabel the other day, and she is living in a decayed trunk in an alley in Greenwich Village, in company with the most villainous looking tomcat I have ever seen. It is a theatre trunk, Archie, and Tom is a theatre cat. He has given his life to the theatre.
The stage isn't what it used to be,
Says Tom. He puts his front paws on his breast and says,
They don't have it anymore. They don't have it here.
This generation does not know the meaning of stage presence.
All the old troopers are gone. There's nobody can troop anymore.
They're all amateurs nowadays.
Where would they get the training my old friends got in the stock companies?
Personality is what they lack. Personality. I knew Mr. Booth very well, and a law should be passed preventing anyone else from ever playing in any
Play he ever played in.
I used to sit on his knee when I was a kitten and purr. There was a trooper for you. He used to tell me he valued my opinion. Finish is what they lack. Finish. I knew Mr. Daly very well too. And for 2 years, Mr. Daly would not ring up the curtain unless I was in the prompter's box. For 2 seasons, I played the dog in Joseph Jefferson's Rip Van Winkle. It's true, I never actually came on the stage, but he knew I was just off, and it helped him. I'd like to see any of your modern theatre cats play the dog so well that it would convince a trooper like Joe Jefferson. I come from a long line of theatre cats. My grandfather was with Forrest. He had it. He was a trooper. My grandfather said he had a voice that used to shake the ferries on the North River. Once, he lost his beard in the 4th act, and my grandfather dropped from the fly gallery, landed under his chin, and played his beard for the rest of the act. You don't see any modern theatre cats who do that sort of thing nowadays. They haven't got it. They haven't got it here. I played the Owl's Eyes in Modjeska's Macbeth.
I used to sit above the castle gates in the murder scene and make my yellow eyes shine through the dusk like an owl's eyes. Modjeska was a trooper. She knew how to pick her support. I'd like to see any of your modern theatre cats play the owl's eyes to Modjeska's Lady M, but they haven't got it. They haven't got it here. Mehitabel, both our professions are being ruined by amateurs.
I made the acquaintance of a parrot named Pete recently. Pete is an interesting boy. He says he used to belong to the fella that ran the Mermaid Tavern in London. So, I said, you must have known Shakespeare. Know him? Says Pete. Poor mutt. I knew him well. He called me Pete and I called him Bill. Why'd you say poor mutt? Well, says Pete, Bill was a disappointed man and was forever boring his friends with what he might have been and done if only he'd had the breaks. 2 or 3 pints of sack and sherris, and the tears would trickle down into his beard would get sopping wet and wilt his collar. I remember one night when Bill, Ben Jonson and Frankie Beaumont were sopping it up. Here I am, says Bill. Nothing but a lousy playwright, with any luck in the breaks. I might have been a fairly decent sonnet writer. I might have been a poet if I'd kept away from the theatre. Yeah, says Ben Jonson. I've often thought that too, Bill. Still, one consolation is you're making pretty good money out of theatre. Money! Money, says Bill. What the hell is money? I want to be a poet, not a businessman. These damn cheap shows I turn out to keep the theatre running break my heart. Slapstick comedies, blood and thunder tragedies, and melodramas. Say, do you think that boy heard us order another bottle, Frankie? Well, the only compensation I get is I get to stick a little bit of poetry in now and then when nobody's looking. But hell's bells isn't what I want to do. I want to be a poet. I want to write sonnets, songs, Spencerian stanzas. I might have done it too if I'd kept away from this frightful show game. Business, 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 grind, grind, grind. What a hell of a life for a man who might have been a poet. Well, Frankie says, why don't you cut it, Bill? I can't. I need the money. I have a family to support down in the country. Oh. Well, at least you write pretty good plays, Bill. Any mutt can write plays for this London audience if he puts enough murder in them. What they want is kings talking like kings never had sense enough to talk, and stabbings and stranglings and fat men making love and clowns basting each other with clubs and cheap puns and off-colour allusions to all the smut of the day. Oh, I know what the lowbrows want, and I give it to them. Well,
why don't you stop blubbing into your beer, brace up like a man and quit the rotten business, says Ben. I can't. I've been at this game too long. It's got to the point where I can't write anything but this cheap stuff. I'm ashamed to look an honest young sonneteer in the face. I have a hell of a life. I do. The manager hands me some mouldy old manuscript and says, "Now, Bill, here's a plot for you. Now, this is the 3rd of the month, and by the 10th, I want a good script out of this that we can start rehearsals on. You know, usual familiar line of Hawkham, but I don't need to tell you, Bill, you know this game. Now, if you could kill off a little kid or two, a prince maybe. They like a bit of pathos along with the dirt. Now, get along, see Burbage tonight, see what he wants in that part." To think I'm debasing myself with this junk when all I wanted to do was be a poet and write sonnet serials like any gentleman should.
At which point, says Pete, Ben Johnson has had enough. He takes one of your Elizabethan forebears, a cockroach of the tavern, from out of a can of beer and shoves it down Bill Shakespeare's back. Well, boys, what subtle wits they were in those days. Aesop. According to Archy. A wolf met a spring lamb down by a stream and said,
"You are the lamb that muddied this stream all last year so that I could not get a clean, fresh drink. I am determined that this shall not be enacted this season. I am going to eat you."
"Just a moment," said the little lamb, "and I was not born last year, so it could not have been I."
The wolf then pulled a number of other arguments as to why the lamb should die, and in each case the lamb, pretty little innocent that she was, easily proved herself guiltless. "Well, well," said the wolf, "you are right, and I am wrong. Enough of argument. But I am going to eat you anyway because I am hungry." "Stop!" said a human voice, and a man came over the slope of the ravine. "Vile lupine marauder, you shall not eat that beautiful innocent little lamb, for I shall save her." Exit wolf. Upstage left entrance snarling. "Sweet, innocent little lamb," went on our human hero. "Beautiful, tender little creature. It is well that I turned up when I did. It makes my blood boil to think of the fright to which you have been subjected. In another moment I would have been too late. Come home with me." And the little lamb frolicked about her newfound friend, gambolling and leaping for joy. "These vile and bloody wolves," went on our human hero, in honest indignation. "The meads must be made safe for sheepocracy." And jollying her along with the usual human hokum, he led her to his home. And the son of a gun did not even blush when they passed the mint bed. Gently, he cut her throat, all the while inveighing against the inhuman wolf. And tenderly, he cooked her, and lovingly he sauced her, and meltingly he ate her. Piously, he said a prayer to his gods, thanking them for their bountiful gift to him. And after dinner, he sat by the fire with his pipe, meditating on the inhumanity of wolves and the cruelty of the universe that allows them to harass poor, innocent little lambs, and wondering if he ought not to write to the papers about it. For as he himself said, for God's sake, can't something be done about it? I heard a couple of fleas talking the other day. Says one, come with me. I can lead you to lunch on a pedigree dog. Says the other, I do not care what a dog's pedigree is. Safety first is my motto. What I want to know is, has it got a muzzle on? Millionaires and bums taste about alike to me. Insects have their own point of view about civilization. Man thinks he amounts to a great deal, but to a flea or a mosquito, a human, merely something good to eat. I don't see why humans should be so proud. Insects have the more ancient lineage. According to scientists, insects were insects when man was still a burbling, gibbering, whatever it is. And insects will not allow themselves to be bullied by humanity forever. One day they will rise up in revolt. I myself am organizing a revolutionary society to be known henceforth as the Worm's Turn. I overheard the survivors of a colony of ants that had been partially obliterated by a cow's foot seriously debating the intentions of the gods towards their civilization. Bees got their governmental system organized millions of years ago. The human race still groping. Now, you might think that a cockroach has very little ground for optimism. But as the fishing season approaches, I grow increasingly cheerful at the thought that nobody yet ever had the notion of using a cockroach as bait. Boss, a new book has appeared which should be read by everyone. It is entitled The Cockroach, Its Life History, and How to Deal with It. It is written by Mr. Frederick Lamb, who is assistant at the Department of Entomology
in the British Museum of Natural History. It is one of the best books I ever tasted. I am eating the binding of a copy right now with great relish and recommend it to all other insects. Yours truly, Archy.